Welcome to Fluentora Podcast. Real speaking, real fluency.
Hello, and welcome to the Fluentora Podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Leo. Thanks for joining us again.
Today, we're exploring something that might change how you think about your own decisions. Game theory.
Game theory? That sounds mathematical. Are we going to talk about equations?
No equations today. But I'll tell you what game theory is. It's the study of how people make decisions when the outcome depends not just on what they do, but on what someone else does at the same time.
So it's about strategy? About predicting what other people will do?
Exactly. But here's where it gets fascinating, and where you come in. Game theory was developed by mathematicians and economists to explain human behavior. Except, humans often don't behave the way game theory predicts.
So game theory is wrong about us?
That's what we're going to explore today. We have a story for you, a real-world scenario that reveals the core tension between what game theory predicts and how actual people behave.
I'm listening.
This is episode 7. It's for advanced learners, C1, C2, people ready to think deeply about complex ideas. And we've created a free lesson plan to go with this episode. Download it at fluentora.com.
Imagine this. Two entrepreneurs, Alex and Jordan, have spent 2 years building a tech startup together.
They've got a product, they've got early traction. Now they're ready for serious investment. But there's a problem.
What's the problem?
They disagree on the valuation and equity split. They both want a bigger slice. More importantly, they're both afraid.
Afraid of what?
Alex is afraid that Jordan might secretly meet with the investor alone, pitch a better version of the story, claim more credit. Jordan has the same fear about Alex. They both know that if they present a united front, if they cooperate, the investor will trust them more, and the valuation will be higher. But they also both know this. If I stay silent and the other person betrays me, I'll lose everything.
So they're stuck. Cooperate and risk being cheated? Or protect themselves by confessing first?
Exactly. So what do? Both of them, independently, decide to meet with the investor. Both of them reveal doubts about the other founder. Jordan's doubts about the product roadmap, Alex's concerns about cash flow.
Oh no.
Oh yes. By the time the investor realizes both founders are undermining each other, the valuation has dropped 40%. Neither founder is better off. But game theory predicted this would happen. Exactly like this.
So game theory was right about what happened, but wrong about why it happened?
That's an excellent way to frame it. Let's dig into why. We need to introduce 3 key concepts. 3 terms you need to understand the rest of this episode. I'll explain each one, and Leo will help me ground it in the Alex and Jordan story.
I'm ready.
First, the prisoner's dilemma. This is a hypothetical scenario in game theory. 2 people must decide whether to cooperate with each other or betray each other, but they can't communicate. Each person must choose alone at the same time. Here's the catch. If you betray and the other person cooperates, you get the best outcome. If you both cooperate, you both get a good outcome. But if you both betray, you both get a bad outcome.
So the structure is set up so that the individually smart choice leads to a collectively bad outcome?
Perfectly said. That's the dilemma. Second concept, Nash Equilibrium. This is named after the mathematician John Nash. It describes a state in a game where no player can improve their outcome by changing strategy alone, even if that outcome isn't the best possible outcome for everyone.
So at the Nash Equilibrium, everyone is doing the best they can, given what everyone else is doing?
Yes, but here's the kicker. The Nash Equilibrium might be worse for everyone than another possible outcome would be.
And in the Alex and Jordan story, the Nash Equilibrium is when both of them have confessed to the investor?
Exactly right. Neither one wants to be the only one staying silent, because if they stay silent while the other betrays, they lose everything. Third term, dominant strategy. A dominant strategy is the choice that's best for you no matter what the other person does. In the prisoner's dilemma, Confessing is a dominant strategy for both people.
Because whether the other person confesses or stays silent, I'm always better off confessing?
Yes, that's dominant strategy. And this is the core insight. Both players have a dominant strategy that leads to mutual destruction. Okay, with these three terms in mind, let's explore what happened with Alex and Jordan.
So Alex and Jordan are in a prisoner's dilemma. They need to decide, cooperate or betray.
Right. Let's map out the payoffs, the outcomes. If both stay silent and cooperate, they present a united front to the investor, the company valuation stays strong. Both get a good outcome. They're both happy.
That's the best outcome for everyone.
Agreed. But now imagine Alex starts thinking strategically. What if Jordan stays silent, but I go talk to the investor? I paint a picture of myself as the visionary, and Jordan is cautious and risk-averse. I get the better equity split. Winning outcome for me.
And Jordan's thinking the exact same thing?
Simultaneously. Neither knows what the other is planning. So Alex thinks, if I stay silent and Jordan confesses, I'm vulnerable. I look like the fool. If I confess and Jordan stays silent, I win. And if I confess and Jordan also confesses, well, at least we're in the same boat. The safest option for Alex is to confess.
And Jordan's risk calculation is identical.
Identical. So both confess. Both meet the investor separately. Both undermine the other. The investor sees two people who don't trust each other. The valuation drops. Both are worse off than if they'd cooperated. But from each person's individual perspective, they made the rational choice. Confessing was safer.
So they're both acting rationally, but the outcome is irrational for both of them.
That's the prisoner's dilemma. That's the core paradox of game theory. Individual rationality can lead to collective irrationality. And this isn't hypothetical. This pattern shows up in business negotiations, climate talks, salary discussions, international conflicts, everywhere humans have to decide whether to cooperate or protect themselves.
But wait, in reality, don't people find ways around this? Cooperation happens all the time.
That's where we get to the next concept, Nash Equilibrium, and where the plot thickens. So, in the prisoner's dilemma, both players have a dominant strategy, confess. This creates what's called a Nash Equilibrium.
Which means neither Alex nor Jordan wants to change their strategy, because changing it would make them worse off.
Exactly. Think about it. Alex has confessed. Jordan has confessed. Now, if Alex says, you know what, I'm going to change my strategy. I'm going to go cooperate. What happens?
Jordan is still confessing, so Alex is left vulnerable. That's worse for Alex.
Much worse. So Alex doesn't want to change. Neither does Jordan. This is the Nash Equilibrium, a state where no one can improve their outcome by acting alone. Everyone is locked in.
But it's not the best outcome for both of them. If they both stayed silent, they'd both be better off.
Correct. There is a better outcome for everyone, both cooperating. But they can't reach it because the incentives to cheat are too strong. This is what blew John Nash's mind when he discovered it. The Nash Equilibrium isn't always the best outcome. It's just the outcome where no one wants to move. And the mathematician John von Neumann, the founder of game theory, thought Nash's insight was trivial. He was dismissive.
Really? But that seems like a huge insight.
It was. Nash proved that nearly every game has an equilibrium point. You can predict where humans will end up mathematically, even if they don't want to be there. The Nobel Prize Committee agreed with Leo, not with von Neumann. Nash won the Nobel in 1994, along with Harsanyi and Selton, for this work.
So game theory gives us a map. It shows us the trap before we walk into it?
That's what it should do. But here's the problem. Just because we understand the trap doesn't mean we'll avoid it. And in fact, real human behavior often breaks game theory predictions entirely.
How so?
That's our third concept, rationality versus reality. Game theory makes an assumption. It assumes all players are perfectly rational, They want to maximize their payoff, their personal benefit. They have complete knowledge of the game. They have no emotions clouding their judgment. They don't care about fairness or relationships.
That's not how humans work.
Not at all. Let me give you an example. There's a famous experiment called the ultimatum game. One person gets $100. They can split it with another person however they want. The other person either accepts the split or rejects it. And if they reject it, neither person gets anything. Game theory predicts the first person should offer the second person $1. Why? Because $1 is better than nothing. The second person should accept.
But I'm guessing that doesn't happen?
It almost never happens. In reality, people offer closer to 40 or 50% of the money. And when offered less than 20%, people often reject it, deliberately punishing the other person, even though it costs them money too. Why? Fairness, dignity, the sense of being treated disrespectfully.
So emotions and values override pure rational calculation?
Constantly. In Alex and Jordan's story, game theory predicted they'd both confess, and they did. But that's partly because of emotion too. Fear, distrust, anxiety. A purely rational person might think, statistically, 70% of startup founders cooperate successfully. I should trust Jordan. But anxiety overrides statistics.
So is game theory wrong? Is it useless?
No, it's not useless, but it's incomplete. Game theory shows us the structure of the decision. It maps the incentives. But whether humans follow those incentives depends on trust, emotion, past experience, and cultural norms. Game theory is like a map. The map shows the terrain, but whether you walk that path depends on other things. Your fear, your hope, your relationships.
So game theory is a useful tool, but not a complete prediction of human behavior?
Precisely. And that's what makes human behavior fascinating. We're not rational, but we're not irrational either. We're differently rational. We include things game theory ignores. Fairness, trust, emotion, history. They might have. And that's the real value of game theory. Understanding the trap so you can choose not to fall in. But it's hard. Fear is powerful.
So game theory explains why we fail, but not why we sometimes succeed. Cooperation does happen in real life all the time. How?
Several ways. 1. Repeated games. If Alex and Jordan are going to work together for years, if they know they'll have a relationship in the future, then betrayal today costs them tomorrow. Cooperation becomes rational again.
So it's not one-time prisoner's dilemma. It's a repeated game?
Often, yes. 2. Reputation. If word gets out that you betrayed a partner, no one will work with you again. So cooperation is rational because betrayal carries a hidden cost.
And 3.
3 is the messy one. Values, culture, fairness. Some people cooperate because they think it's right, not because the math says so. They'd rather both have less if it means they're treated fairly than have more and feel like they cheated someone.
Is that rational?
It depends on what you're maximizing. If you're maximizing money, it's irrational. If you're maximizing self-respect or relationship quality, it's perfectly rational. Game theory assumes we're all maximizing money or power, but humans maximize lots of things: meaning, relationships, dignity, fairness.
So understanding game theory helps us understand where the traps are. But it's not a formula for how to live. It's a framework for seeing the incentives.
Exactly. That's why I think it matters. Not because it predicts human behavior perfectly, but because it reveals the structure of decisions. Once you see the structure, you can choose differently.
And Alex and Jordan, if they'd understood the prisoner's dilemma, they might have said, we know the incentive is to betray. Let's make a pact. Let's build in consequences for betrayal. Let's communicate constantly so we build trust.
Yes, understanding the game changes the game. Okay, now it's your turn. we have some questions for you. Think about your own life, your decisions, your relationships, your career. We'll ask the questions, and after each one, there's time for you to think and answer out loud.
These are in your free lesson plan too, if you want to develop your answers more deeply.
Question 1. Think about a decision you made where you prioritized your own benefit over a group benefit, or where you protected yourself at someone else's cost. It could be a work situation, a negotiation, a friendship, a family decision. What was the situation? And looking back, do you think game theory explains what happened? Take time to answer that out loud. Full sentences. Question 2. Is there a relationship in your life where you cooperate even when the incentive structure says you shouldn't? Where game theory predicts betrayal, but you don't? What makes that relationship different? What keeps cooperation alive? Question 3. Game theory says humans are selfish maximizers. Does that match your experience? Have you seen someone make a choice that was against their self-interest, but aligned with fairness or values? Tell me that story. Question 4. If you understand that a situation is a prisoner's dilemma, that the incentives are set up for betrayal, how would you change the game? What would you do differently? Think about Alex and Jordan. What should they have done? Excellent questions to sit with. These questions are designed for thinking deeply, in English, about complex ideas. Write out your answers. Speak them aloud. Share them with a language partner, or bring them to your Fluentora lesson.
So why does game theory matter? Why are we spending 27 minutes on this?
Because game theory is everywhere. It's in salary negotiations. Do I accept the offer or do I risk holding out? It's in climate talks. Do I commit to reducing emissions if I'm not sure other countries will? It's in business partnerships, family decisions, international conflicts. Anytime you have to make a decision where the outcome depends on what someone else does, game theory is at play.
And understanding the structure helps you see the trap before you fall in?
It should. Game theory doesn't tell you what to do, it tells you why you're tempted to do what you do. Once you see that, you have a choice. You can fall into the trap, or you can build in safeguards. Communication, contracts, reputation, trust, repeated interaction. All of these are ways of transforming a one-time prisoner's dilemma into a repeated game where cooperation is rational.
And if we could all understand that, we'd make better decisions?
Better decisions, yes. Not perfect decisions, because humans aren't purely rational, but better. We'd see the trap, and we'd have a choice. Thank you for spending this time thinking deeply about game theory with us.
And for practicing advanced English while you do it.
3 things now. First, download your free game theory lesson plan. The link is in the description. You'll find comprehension questions about the video, a full reading, more advanced terminology, and space to develop your answers to the questions we asked today.
Second, if you want to discuss these ideas out loud with a real teacher, book a free trial lesson at Fluentora.com. One conversation, in English, with a native speaker. That's where real fluency happens. And third, tell us in the comments what decision you're wrestling with. Game theory is most fun when it's your dilemma. We read every comment. Please subscribe and share this episode with someone who loves thinking about complex ideas.
Speak fluent English, build a confident tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.